Hello everyone, I'm Alex Dykes, and today we're taking a look at a 2014 GMC Sierra. This is the top-end Denali trim that we're taking a look right now. It is the most expensive GMC Sierra that you can get. Before we dive too much further, let me say a few things. First off, let me apologize for my voice. I'm going to sound a little bit nasally because I am recovering from laryngitis, so let me apologize for that in advance. Second thing is, there is nothing stronger than the brand loyalty when it comes to pickup truck brands. There's no other segment of the auto industry that has this kind of brand loyalty. So if you own a GMC pickup truck or a Chevy pickup truck or a Ford pickup truck or a Ram pickup truck, you're more than likely going to buy another of that same brand. Cross shops between brands, they're incredibly rare. So we're really taking a look at this pickup truck in its own right if we're being very honest about things. I am, however, going to compare it to the existing Ram 1500 pickup truck, and I will make a few comparisons to the Ford F-150. Last few videos we've had on pickup trucks in this channel, I have been accused of forgetting Ford, and I really couldn't forget about the 800-pound gorilla in the room because the F-150 is the top-selling pickup truck. I'm not forgetting about the F-150. I personally happen to think it's unfair to compare these brand new pickup trucks, because this is an all-new model for General Motors, as well as the heavily refreshed Ram 1500 that was introduced this year, with an old F-150 that's about to be replaced in just a few months with a brand new all-aluminum bodied and all-new Ford F-150 pickup truck. Because we don't have that much information on the 2015 F-150 and nobody's driven it yet, I'm not going to comment very much on the Ford in this review. I am going to comment on a few things where it's applicable, but on the whole, I'm going to save most of those Ford references for the Ford F-150 review when we can get our hands on one. Ford hasn't exactly said when that will be, but I expect it to be somewhere in the middle of this 2014 calendar year. Now, because I said everybody in the pickup truck market seems to have an allegiance, I do have to disclose that my family are primarily Dodge Ram people. Now you'd call them Ram people, of course, because Dodge is out of the equation for the Ram pickup trucks. Ram is now its own brand. But despite that, I think that the front end of this Sierra is undeniably the most attractive pickup truck currently available on the market, and for me that will also include the 2015 Ford F-150. I find the front end of the 2015 Ford F-150 just a little bit too cartoonish, if I'm honest. I think that the Ram is kind of attractive, but I'm not really a fan of that slanting grille that they've got going on the current generation Ram pickup truck. I think this one has a little bit too much chrome for my tastes, but it is bold, it's very aggressive, and it's very big. If you weren't aware of this before, you should know that the GMC Sierra and the Chevy Silverado are mechanical twins. There's really very little difference going on between the two of them, other than the grille, some headlight options, some interior options, some pricing, and other things along those lines. So these are very much the same vehicle, so much of what I'm going to say about this vehicle also applies to the Chevy Silverado. Because we're in the Denali trim, we get this different grille on the front, which I think is the most attractive grille available in the GM pickup truck line. It's very large, very bold, and has this absolutely enormous GMC logo up front. Because so many pickup trucks are sold in America, there are a ton of different options to choose from, and the first thing you have to decide is what body size you want. There are 5 different options when it comes to the Sierra. Things start out with a 2-door standard cab that's available with either a standard or a long bed. We then have a double cab, and that's a 4-door model as well. You can get that with a standard box only. We then have this crew cab model, which has a longer rear door for more rear cabin space, and this is available either with a short bed or a standard bed. So that means there are 3 different cabs and there are 3 different bed sizes, and they range in 5 different combinations. General Motors continues to be very dedicated to their square wheel well design philosophy. This is something we've seen from them for quite a while. Rather than having a round wheel arch that's kind of overly round like the current generation F-150, we've gone for something that's decidedly square. I think it looks a little bit unusual in the Chevy Silverado, but for some reason the GMC Sierra isn't offending me quite so much. I think that it's mostly just the color scheme that's going on with this pickup truck versus the last one we took a look at before. Please let me know what you think about square wheel wells in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear what you think on the styling. Our particular model here has the standard 20-inch wheels. You can get up to 22-inch wheels in the Denali model, but these wheel options are quite expensive. They range from about $2,000 to almost $3,000 to change up from this to a 22-inch wheel. While we're talking about options on our tester, we also have the optional Z71 off-road package on our particular truck right here. We have these red shocks in the back. They're called Ranchero shocks. It does affect the ride just a little bit in the pickup truck. We also have these running boards on the side of the Sierra, and these are not optional. These are standard on every Denali model, but they are optional on other versions of the pickup truck. I personally would choose the $700 back in your pocket delete option. You can have them removed and get $700 back for some other option, because I found them just a little bit useless for my tastes. They're not terribly good for off-roading because they do reduce your ground clearance, but also you end up getting mud on your your pant leg or whatever. If you're commuting in your pickup truck like I do, then you're going to get mud on your pant leg when you get to work, and it's just kind of a nuisance in my opinion. If you are a shorter person or you do have kids that may need help to get in and out of the truck, then it's a great option to keep on the vehicle. Out back, you won't find any controversial styling on the Sierra. You won't even find very prominent dual exhaust tips like you'd find in certain Ram pickup trucks. Instead, we get that one off to the side. It's kind of demure. We do have some nice touches here, however. We have a soft opening as well as a soft closing tailgate, which is a handy standard feature in a pickup truck. It really makes it a lot easier to open and close that if you don't have terribly strong arms or if you have kids that may need to open that. We have a backup camera fixed right here, and it's shining down right there on your trailer hitch, and it's very downward focused. It's not very back focused, so you can really use that very easily to align your trailer if you're going to tow something. We also have these steps integrated right here into the back bumper of the Sierra, making it a lot easier to get in and out of the bed of the pickup truck. Under this absolutely enormous hood, you will find 3 brand new engines in the Silverado and the Sierra for 2014. Things start out with a brand new 4.3 liter V6 engine, produces 285 horsepower, 305 pound-feet of torque. Then we get a 5.3 liter V8 engine, producing 335 horsepower and 383 pound-feet of torque. And lastly, we have this 6.2 liter V8 right here, producing 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. In the Sierra Denali model that we're looking at right now, the 5.3 liter V8 engine is standard, and the 6.2 liter V8 engine is a $1,995 option. Fuel economy ranges from $18.24 in the 4.3 liter V6 to $15.21 in this 6.2 liter V8 model. Those are both rear-wheel drive mileage figures. These are among the highest in the segment, and really they're tying with everybody else or beating everybody else. Those fuel economy numbers are really very good for a big pickup truck that's heavy and has a decent payload and towing capacity. The way that General Motors got there was by designing all new engines. These have aluminum blocks, direct injection, cylinder deactivation, and variable valve timing, even though they're push-rodded engines. Cylinder deactivation is the reason for the high highway numbers in these vehicles. We've been averaging about 22 to 23 miles per gallon in highway driving in this 6.2 liter V8, which is better than the EPA number, and it all comes down to that cylinder deactivation. What's interesting about this engine family is that even the V6 gets cylinder deactivation technology operating on 4 cylinders at some times, rather than 3 cylinders like certain other V6s with cylinder deactivation in the past. The V8s all operate in either V8 or 4-cylinder mode. Power is sent to the rear via a standard General Motors 6-speed automatic transmission. It's the only transmission available. There are, of course, 4-wheel drive options available in the Sierra as well as the Silverado. Now that we've gone over engines, let's talk towing. On our Denali model, we have a 2-inch receiver. We also have the 7-pin as well as a 4-pin trailer wiring harness connector. I do find both of those very handy to be integrated right into the car. Towing capacity is very stout in the Sierra, and this is really where it excels. 7,000 pounds standard towing for the V6 model, depends on how you're equipped, of course. 10,200 pounds maximum if you get the 5.3 liter V8, and 12,000 pounds maximum with the 6.2 liter V8. These are all conventional trailering numbers, and depending on the options that you choose in your vehicle, whether it's 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, the size of the bed, the size of the cab, etc., that all affects your towing numbers. Needless to say, however, the towing numbers are surprisingly large for the Sierra across the board. An important consideration when it comes to towing, however, is a little-known fact that if you tow over 10,000 pounds in certain states, California is definitely one of them, then you will need either a commercial or a non-commercial Class A license in order to tow over 10,000 pounds in a private vehicle. There are really no exceptions to that rule. I get a lot of flack about that, but the information is available there on your local DMV website. It's really clear, it's part of the California Vehicle Code, and it's really not up for dispute. In fact, I've known a number of journalists that have been at events towing trailers with manufacturer vehicles that were over 10,000 pounds, and they've gotten a very expensive ticket as a result. So be careful and keep that in mind before you get too excited about that 12,000 pound towing capacity in the 6.2 liter V8 model. Payload capacity is another area where the Sierra and the Silverado excel over the competition. Payload ranges from about 1,900 pounds to around 2,100 pounds. The important thing to know is that that range is very small. It's only about a 300-pound delta between the lowest and the highest capacity of Silverado and Sierra 1500 pickup truck. If you take a look at the Ram 1500, that delta is much bigger. It's almost 1,000 pounds or so, because it is possible to find high configuration Ram 1500s on the lot with under 1,000 pounds of payload capacity. Ford has yet to release payload charts on the new F-150. However, I don't expect it to depart that much from the current generation F-150, and there's a great deal of variance there as well. Front seat comfort in our Denali trim is excellent. We have a multi-way power driver's seat with a 4-way adjustable lumbar support, a decent range of motion, and very nicely bolstered seat bottoms and seat back cushions. The passenger seat in our Denali has a very similar range of motion to the driver's seat, and we have a tilt telescoping steering column, but it operates a little bit differently than most. There's one lever for the telescoping, and there's another for tilting. It causes the range of motion to be just a little bit unusual when you've driven cars with other kinds of tilt telescoping steering columns, but it does get the job done. We also have a 2-position seat memory over there for the driver. Rear seat comfort is also excellent. I find these rear seat bottom cushions to be just a little bit close to the floor for my taste. They're going to be more comfortable for your children. We also have adjustable rear headrests, but they don't go too high up, so I would still bop my head on the rear glass if we got into an accident, something to keep in mind if you routinely carry passengers in the back of your pickup truck and you're really concerned about safety. We do have a generous amount of headroom here. I probably have about 4 or 5 inches left, and a decent amount of legroom sitting behind myself in this driver's seat. If I scoot all the way over to the right side, this front seat was adjusted for a 6'5" passenger. I have no problem sitting comfortably behind this seat. Because this is a pickup truck, we do have a very generously sized middle seat. We also have an armrest that folds right out of there with dual cup holders. And the seat bottom cushion flips up, so you get a little bit more cargo area right here in the back if you need it. You won't find any additional cargo dividers or anything like that going on the floor like you'll find in the Ram 1500 or certain other pickup trucks out there on the market. If you want to know how child seats fit into the GMC Sierra, then go ahead and click that banner at the bottom of your screen and you'll be transported over to our child seat review of the Sierra. That also applies to the Silverado, of course. If you want to wait for that, there'll also be a link at the end of the video. We're going to take a quick look around the interior now. Both the driver and the front passenger have height adjustable seat belts there. Because we're in the Denali trim, we do have Denali stitching right there on the headrests. These are heated and cooled seats, so they are perforated, so that way the air can get through the leather. If we take a look at the doors, we do have soft touch plastics all over the door. We also get fake wood trim. That's what sort of distinguishes this from the lesser pickup trucks. If you get the Chevy or other GMC pickup trucks, you are going to get sort of a metallic finish plastic trim, very much like you'll find right there by that air vent. Over here on the passenger side, we have 2 glove boxes. They're fairly small. There's one right up there, and then there's one right down there. This one holds the manual and not much else. And this one is fairly small. As you can see, it holds this microphone case and not a whole lot else either. The dashboard has this contrasting stitching. This is an injection molded dashboard with just stitching run over the top of the injection molding. Here in the center console, we have the large IntelliLink display that's standard on the Denali. It's optional on other versions of this pickup truck. We have a single slot CD player right down there and physical buttons right here. If you want to know more about the system, then follow the link at the bottom of the video for the infotainment review. Below that, we have our dual zone climate control, heated and cooled seat controls for the driver and the passenger over there. And we have this button bank of switches. The only one of these switches that actually toggles is this one right here, and that's for the power adjustable pedals. They are memory as well. Traction control off, we have our bed light, parking sensors, lane departure warning, and hill descent control there. We have a large variety of ports here. We have 3 charging USB ports, 2 12-volt power ports, and 1 110-volt AC port right there, easily accessible. Below those ports is a very large center console. If I zoom out, you can see that there is a decent amount of storage capacity right there between the armrest, which does open as well, and those ports over here. It's in 2 tiers. There's this tier right here, and then there's a deeper well right down here. These little rubber slots allow you to insert your cell phone or your wallet or whatever you might want to keep up right there. And if you take a look at the side there, you'll notice these little slots in the side. And these are places where you can insert this large 2-cup cup holder arrangement. So you can insert it in any of those positions. There are 3 positions across. If you just sort of navigate that in there and then press down, that will latch into place. And you still have access to this compartment over here as well as the compartment in front. The large center armrest has an area right here where you can place your cell phone. It's a little grippy rubber pad there to help keep it from getting away from you. If we open up this armrest, you'll find a very deep illuminated cubby. We have a slot here so you can put your smaller items, 2 USB ports, auxiliary input, as well as a secure digital input, and a very large cubby that's able to accommodate hanging file folders. So if you look right here, there is a hanging file folder slot right there so you can hang regular old letter files. We also have an additional 12-volt power port. Because we're in a Denali, we have this large LCD instrument cluster right here between the speedometer and the tachometer. These aren't physical dials right there. Those are all part of the LCD. So the only physical dials are the tachometer and the speedometer right there. If you want to know more about that, then just click on over to the infotainment video. We're going to go over that in depth over there. If we move on out to the steering wheel, we have a large, soft, leather-wrapped steering wheel. This leather isn't quite as soft as you'll find in the high-end Ford or high-end Ram pickup trucks, but it is likely going to be more durable. This 4-way cluster right here controls that LCD in the dash. Right here we have our voice command button, hang up button, Over here we have our cruise control buttons, heated steering wheel button, and collision prevention button. Like the Ram pickup trucks, you'll find volume up and down and track forward and backward on buttons on the back of the steering wheel. The Denali does have a column shifter, and you'll find manual modes right there and a tow haul button right up there at the end of the column shifter. On the left side of the steering wheel, you will find the optional integrated trailer brake controller. This is a $230 option, and it is worth every penny. A good aftermarket trailer brake controller is going to be about $200 anyway. Having it installed in your car is going to cost more than $200. You might as well just get this integrated one. It works very well with the car's electronics. It also looks pretty good as well. Below that, we have our four-wheel drive control. We have 2 low, auto, 4 high, as well as 4 low in this system. There is a neutral mode if you need to flat tow your Silverado or your Sierra. This 6.2-liter V8 engine sounds absolutely incredible out on the road. I really love the way a large V8 engine sounds, and this is the biggest displacement V8 engine you can get in a domestic 1500 series pickup truck. It produces 420 horsepower, and it's really obvious out on the road. We scored 0 to 60 in a sports car-like 5.7 seconds in this pickup truck, and this is a really heavy pickup truck, so it is important to keep that in mind. We also have four-wheel drive on this truck, and that actually helped us in our 0 to 60 time because our best time was achieved by putting this truck in the four-wheel drive auto mode so that we would lock up the front differential and help send some power up front to keep the rear wheels from just spinning uselessly on the tarmac. A lot of people have made fun of Ram's decision to move to coil springs in the rear suspension of their 1500 pickup truck, but it really was a good move because the vast majority of pickup truck buyers, according to independent research, typically don't tow or don't haul a large amount of weight in the back of their pickup truck. And for the average driver, that's going to mean a better quality ride out on the road. We're on a fairly bumpy road, and this chassis is just feeling a little bit upset with the leaf springs in the back. That decision for those coil springs in the Ram 1500 are part of why the Ram 1500 can't hold as much weight as this Sierra 1500 can, however. So if you do need payload capacity, then you're going to have to choose something like this with traditional leaf springs out in the back. There is just a penalty to be paid, and that's in the ride department. When it comes to handling, let's just be really honest and say that no pickup truck is going to be the handling champ out on the road because all these vehicles are fairly high, they're fairly softly sprung, they've got relatively narrow tires for the height of the vehicle and the weight of the vehicle, etc. But if I had to choose one, it would again be that Ram 1500, and that's again thanks to that rear suspension design that Chrysler has pioneered in the Ram 1500. It really helps that Ram 1500 feel very connected to the road. The Ram also has the option of having a 4-corner air suspension in that 1500 model, and that yet again does improve the ride quality out on the road, primarily because it can lower the chassis for better handling at higher speeds, and it can raise it when you need it again for off-road clearance. Air suspension is really not going to be that popular of an option over there in Ram land, so for the majority of people, they're not going to notice that big of a difference between this and that Ram 1500. The new F-150 is going to be a lot lighter because it's made of aluminum, and I do expect it to handle better than this GMC Sierra because it's going to be a lot lighter. And by a lot, I mean nearly 1,000 pounds is what we're being told. It's going to be somewhere between 700 and 1,000 pounds of weight reduction because that body is going to be aluminum instead of steel, and that's going to cause a decent impact when it comes to ride and handling as well as performance because the vehicle's just going to be lighter. The Sierra and the Silverado both get very large brake rotors, which gave us very predictable braking even when we had a trailer connected. That brings me neatly on to trailering, and I'm going to have to bring up that Ram 1500 yet again. I'm not ignoring the current generation F-150. I'm actually putting that current generation F-150 into the same category as the Silverado and the Sierra. It's all down to the transmission in that Ram 1500. Chrysler is now using an 8-speed automatic designed by ZF of Germany, and that transmission has 2 more ratios than this 6-speed automatic going on right here in the General Motors pickup truck, and it's really obvious out on the road. Even though the V6 model in the base Silverado and Sierra has more pound-feet of torque, and that's a decent amount more torque than the Ford or the Chrysler V6 engine, I would rather tow with the Chrysler V6 engine because of the 8-speed automatic. It just has more gear ratios, it has a lower ratio as well as a higher ratio, and the other ratios are closer together, allowing the transmission to always have a good ratio on hand for whatever task you have pitted against the pickup truck. It also makes a huge difference in the V8 engine Ram 1500, which competes relatively well with this 6.2-liter V8. The 6.2-liter V8 Silverado is still just a little bit faster than the 5.7-liter Hemi to 60 and in a decent number of circumstances, but the difference is much, much smaller than you might think, again because of that 8-speed automatic in the Ram. The difference is especially pronounced when you compare the 5.3-liter V8 engine in the Silverado as well as the Sierra to the Ram 1500. And in that instance, the Ram 1500 is definitely the better performing and better tow vehicle. That being said, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this General Motors 6-speed automatic transmission. It usually felt like it had the right gear for me. The shifts were quick, they were also relatively firm, very precise. There's a very good feel to this automatic transmission. The steering feel is very good, even though we are driving a large pickup truck, which can feel very ponderous at times. The steering feel is very accurate and very precise. Of course, on any road like this where it is a winding mountain road, this vehicle is going to feel big and heavy, but so is every other pickup truck out on the market. Because we are in a GMC Denali, which is the luxury pickup truck from General Motors, let's talk about a few things that are specific to this Denali. First off, we have a very nice soft leather heated steering wheel. This has a great feel to it. Overall, this interior is not quite as nice, in my opinion, than the Ram 1500, but I do prefer the styling of this Denali interior, as I said earlier. The cabin noise is also luxury car quiet. We scored 67 decibels in this cabin, which is incredibly quiet. That's quieter than a decent number of luxury cars we've tested. It's easily the quietest pickup truck I've ever tested as well. We do get a decent amount of engine noise, but the engine noise that we are getting is the good variety. It's that nice V8 rumble out from the back. With a 0 to 60 time solidly below 6 seconds, I really want to know what a performance version of the Denali would be like. Something that's slightly lowered, possibly has a torque and center differential to apportion power more evenly between the front and the rear, and a more performance-tuned suspension design. GM has received a bit of heat over the pricing on the 2014 Silverado as well as the Sierra lately. Things start out at $27,560 for the base model Sierra, and that's with the V6 of course and the short bed. And they hop on up to $55,000 for this top-end Denali, almost loaded as we have right here. Now, you can get a number of additional options on your Denali, like 22-inch wheels and other aftermarket options that will push your price tag easily over $60,000. Pricing for the Denali starts at $49,150 and is the top-end trim in General Motors pickup truck line. What's been causing all the stir with dealers as well as customers is that across the board, the Sierra as well as the Chevy Silverado are about $1,500 to $2,000 more expensive than the Ford or the Ram competition. General Motors also hasn't been pushing incentives as hard on the 2014 model trucks as the 2013 model trucks or as hard as the competition, so that does affect the pricing as well. But pricing is very flexible, so be sure and consult General Motors' website or pricing resources and pricing comparison resources like my friends over at TrueDelta.com to get an up-to-date price on the Sierra before you start shopping. GM has been getting some mixed press on the Silverado, but I don't understand what some of the fuss is all about. It's true that Ram beat them to the punch with an 8-speed automatic as well as a small diesel in this market. But the Silverado delivers all those things that pickup truck shoppers probably care about if you're actually using your pickup truck for hauling or towing things. We have class-leading payload capacity, class-leading towing capacity, and solid fuel-efficient V8 engines as well. When everything is tallied up for me, it's neck and neck with that last Ram EcoDiesel that we have a video review on. You can find that on my channel, or I'll pop a link at the end of this video, or something along the lines of this GMC Denali. The reason is the Denali has the payload and the towing capacity that I need, but I really liked the way that diesel engine, the 8-speed automatic, and the fuel efficiency happened in that Ram 1500 pickup truck. I think, honestly, my best pickup truck choice would be a mythical pickup truck that just doesn't exist. It would be General Motors engines with that ZF automatic out of the Ram 1500 pickup truck, the Ram's interior, and the aluminum body out of the brand new Ford F-150. But until such a creature actually happens, you're going to be hard-pressed to decide between three very solid options in the pickup truck segment. At the moment, however, it's an easy say that the F-150 is definitely old. That's the 2013 model, the 2014 model, because the 2015 model is all new. Again, we haven't driven that yet, but if you have to choose a pickup truck right now, I would actually put the F-150 off your list for the moment and wait for that 2015 model to come out. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Again, I'm Alex Dykes, and this has been the 2014 GMC Sierra Denali pickup truck. Go ahead and click that subscribe button at the bottom of your screen so you can be updated on all of our latest videos. Comment on this video, like this video, tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. You can also send me emails to alex@alexonautos.com and find me at facebook.com/alexonautos, and we'll see you next week.